What's up, everybody? I am Nathan Parado, your host for the Guardians of Liberty podcast. I am joined with my co-host, like always, Zach Taylor. What's up, man?
How's it going?
It's going well. We're here to talk some liberty today.
Couple quick notes.
All right.
Omaha Unconvention. We got about 2 weeks left. Use the keyword roads at omahaunconvention.com to get 20% off your tickets. Also, go check out that Facebook page, the Omaha Roads to Freedom Unconvention on Facebook, because we just did an interview with Larry Sharp that was awesome.
It was awesome. I mean, it's probably the best interview we've done.
Yep.
Because Larry he has a way
It
of
wasn't
just
much of
talking.
an interview. It was we would say a couple words and then Larry goes off.
It's like, Larry, education, thoughts? And 20 minutes later, okay, now we got all your thoughts on that. Crypto, thoughts? And then just on and on and on.
And we shared it to our page too because we're greedy like that. Also, there's the Austin Peterson interview. Also, what's our Twitter?
Roads to Liberty.
Roads to Liberty. We have our website posted up here. It's roads2liberty.com. I want to make sure we get all this stuff out of the way because
we're on Facebook, Roads to Liberty. We're on Mind. You probably have to search Libertarian Party of Nebraska to find us on
I still need to get that fixed.
Yeah, that one's a little weird.
Well, because at the time,
we were affiliated.
Yeah,
at the time we were affiliated with the LPNE, but now we've gone independent because, that's what we do.
Yeah, well, so we should explain that because we never did. It wasn't like ill will or anything like that. A party needs to have a certain amount of professionalism, and I'm going to yell a lot today because everything we're going to talk about really pisses me off. So it's good that we do our thing and the LP does their thing, and it's your thing because you're on the evil council now.
Yeah, I'm on the evil council that's going to we're going to take over the state and leave everybody alone. That's our plan. We're also on YouTube. Look us up, Roads to Liberty on YouTube. You can find if you're just listening right now, you can find all this on video.
Yep.
So that's always
fun.
And
at some point, so I'm getting better about editing. Like you saw some of the work that I've been working on lately.
Yeah.
I'm getting better. I'm getting faster. So that means that some of our videos are going to start getting more than just me putting a beginning and an end on what we're doing. But not yet. I got to get through the unconvention first.
Yeah, that's taking up a lot of your time. Okay, let's get into some of the topics on our episode today. If you want to go up to the top.
This episode will be entitled "Zach Gets Pissed Off for an Hour."
That's what I want. I want you pissed off for an hour. Okay, so first story we want to talk about, and this is a doozy. Cops in Illinois are saying that if the state legalizes marijuana, then they're going to have to euthanize all their dogs. I know as a dog owner...
Can't we just euthanize the idiot that said that to start with?
Oh, if only. Okay, so here's the story. Police in Illinois, they say if marijuana is legalized, that their dogs, they'll no longer be able to use them. That their dogs have been trained all these years to sniff out marijuana, and you can't just retrain them, and you can't just adopt them out because they've been trained not to be social. You see, since they're not trained to be social, they're not suitable, quote unquote, to go into people's homes. Now, before I unleash Zach upon you good folks, I was a cop in the military for a good 5 years, and I know several people who are still in right now who are dog handlers. And I got in contact with one of them because I was sniffing a rat when I first heard this. I'm like, there is no way this is true.
I approve of your terrible pun.
But I was thinking, there's no way can possibly be true that they have to euthanize their dogs. That's nonsense. So I asked him, hey, is there any truth to this? And he replied, LOL, this is nonsense. No, this is not true. I'm like, turns out you can retrain police dogs. It takes a lot of time.
I was a little worried that maybe they were right because I've seen some of the police dogs around here that they're like, you can't touch this dog, it'll bite. And in retrospect, this was like before I really started getting down on cops. Now I would probably not listen to that cop so much, but at the time it was kind of ingrained in my head that, well, yeah, it makes sense. You're training essentially a war dog because the cops are at war with everyone else. So
here's the thing about canines.
we're not drunk, but it is kind of a post show, Jared.
Here's the thing about canine. They're usually trained to be dual purpose.
Right.
Now you'll have your drug dogs, your bomb dogs, you'll have your attack dogs.
Mm-hmm.
They're usually trained in at least two things. You don't want to have a dog that can only do one thing. Some you'll have search and rescue dogs.
They're using dogs that are highly intelligent, and if it only does one thing, it's going to get bored.
Yeah, and it's very expensive to train these dogs.
Mm-hmm.
So you want them to be used in more than one thing.
You don't want to have to buy 3 different dogs for a police department.
Exactly. So even if your dog is trained to sniff out weed, and you don't want him doing that anymore because now weed is legal, well, that's fine. Just use him for whatever else he's trained to do.
There's got to be other drugs that aren't going to be legal anytime soon.
Yeah, you can.
And I hate to make that point because I know that's not where we're coming from, but yeah. I mean, we're just shooting holes in a completely illogical argument.
And you can retrain a canine unit. You can do it. It takes a long time.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my friend was telling me, that it takes a long time to retrain a canine. But it can be done. And I can imagine it's a lot cheaper to do that than to euthanize all your dogs and then get brand new ones that don't sniff for weed.
Mm-hmm.
This is it's just stupid. This is an excuse that police are using in order to justify keeping marijuana legal, and that's all this is.
Yeah. And it's pathetic because there's no way someone reads that headline and doesn't go, I see what you're doing here. I don't care how much of a bootlicker you are. I see what you're doing here. It's not difficult. Like, this is not rocket surgery.
No, it isn't. And that's to the point that these dogs they're not social. BS.
Every dog is social.
Yeah.
And can be trained and re-socialized. And do you know how you do it in a lot of cases? I looked this up. You know what's the best way to get a dog to chill out and be more social?
You give it marijuana.
Yes.
Oh, the irony. You give the dog marijuana. And they can find it for you.
Yeah.
So it's easy.
Yeah.
It's like, go find the weed. Go, girl, go find me weed.
Like our dog, my dog's psycho. What we're looking into is, because CBD's legal, and that's really what you treat him with, is treating him with CBD treats. So that he calms down around people and starts getting to know people and socializing. Because he really, if you're not our family, he's not very nice to be around.
Or I'll bet he'll love that.
So it's funny, we have what we call our demon gummies. We give him melatonin at night because he's bouncing off the walls and we need him to go to bed. And I started making a joke about that's his drug of choice because it chases away the demons so he can sleep. So we have demon gummies. It sounds much worse than it is, I swear.
Here's the thing. Most dogs, when they're retired, they're adopted by their handlers.
Mm-hmm.
This is what my...
Yeah, are these cops going to shoot the dogs that they were going to adopt anyway?
Yeah, because they get these dogs when they're freaking puppies.
Mm-hmm.
They train these dogs from the minute they enter the program to be working for the force. They have a personal connection with these dogs. And you're telling me that instead of taking that dog home with you, that you're just going to put it down? Nonsense.
Yeah, I call your bluff, sir. I call your bluff.
Yeah, and it's not even there are some military working dogs that they are too violent to adopt out. Every now and then I would be tasked, if I was on a certain patrol, to go into the canine handlers building and make sure that all the dogs are okay. Every hour you got to go in and look at them. And there would be some dogs where you walk in and they're snarling at you. They're running around in circles. They're trying to break through their cage to get at you. And there's some dogs that are just kind of sitting there chilling. Like, oh, hey, what's up?
You're breaking my heart just imagining cages full of dogs right now.
Yeah, there'd be 10, 15 of them in there. And whenever the canine handlers went home, it'd be my job to just go in there to give them water, make sure they had food, make sure that they weren't gnawing at their legs or anything, because some of them would do that because they're just Some of them really
need
are
weed.
crazy. Some of them really are crazy.
They need weed. They need to calm down, stop chewing on themselves.
Yeah, so to anybody who read that story and was thinking, you know what, this sounds fishy, know that you are correct. It is nonsense. There is no truth whatsoever to the idea that police in Illinois have to murder their dogs because you wanted marijuana to be legal. So legalize marijuana to your heart's content. They are bluffing. And the funny thing about it is that even some of their own are going, you know what, no, that's not even true.
Let's maybe walk that back a little bit.
So don't fall for their bluff. Don't fall for their bluff at all. I mean, the police do have a built-in incentive to want to keep marijuana illegal.
Jobs.
Yes, jobs and funding.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole shebang right there. They want to keep drugs illegal because that makes an excuse for them to have all these cops on hand, to have all this funding. You want to know why police are all militarized? It's to fight the drug war.
Yep.
You know, it's to fight people who want to do nothing more than get high and enjoy themselves for a little bit.
And we're going to go down this road again, and we talk about this every couple of weeks. This is why you have bad cops, because you have to hire a bunch of them, and there's only so many people who can possibly be good at this job. They're just in a perfect world where you would still have to have some kind of like peace enforcement. There's not many people that can do that job very well, and we have way too many doing it right now.
Yeah, man.
I feel like I have to make this exact point every couple of weeks.
No, and it's true. And the more laws you have, by that very nature, the more criminals you're going to have. And not only that, but the drug war itself creates the criminals.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it creates the violence. It creates all this crap that's going on in Mexico right now, with drug cartels practically owning the country, due almost entirely to the fact that the United States has imposed a drug war upon Mexico. If the drug war did not exist, Mexico would be a lot more stable right now. And all you Trump fans out there, maybe there'd be a lot less illegal immigration. Maybe a lot less people would feel the need to cross that border. So maybe, hey, how about this pitch? Legalize drugs and illegal immigration goes down. That'd be way more effective than any wall, and we wouldn't have to spend a cent to do it.
Mm-hmm.
We actually save a lot of money.
That would really hurt our agricultural industry.
Hey, if they still want to come in, let them. I'm sure enough would want to come in that we'd still have enough workers on hand. Mm-hmm. Or if we didn't, farmers would just have to pay higher wages, and then Americans would do it.
Well, yeah, then we pay higher for food.
No, it's all about supply and demand.
So here's the thing: I am always going to make the argument that illegal immigration. You know what? As long as we have minimum wage laws, illegal immigration saves our economy from collapse.
Yeah, you made this point on the Think Liberty podcast not too long ago.
Did I? Dude,
yeah, you did.
I was so tired by the time I hit the Think Liberty podcast.
You were on a three.
Yeah.
You were on your third podcast that night, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so, I mean, guys, back to the original point. Illinois cops.
Don't shoot your dogs.
Don't shoot your dogs, and don't shoot gophers either.
Also,
you shouldn't do that.
Don't shoot other people's dogs, assholes.
Yeah, no kidding.
I might have to edit that part out.
What is it with cops and shooting dogs all the time?
It's like a pastime.
It's like, oh, man.
It's like, when you have that sociopathic kid that just likes to torture squirrels, that's cops and dogs.
It's like, man, we ran out of other people's dogs to shoot, so I guess now we got to put our own down.
It's terrible. Anyway,
oh, how horrible.
Mandatory government service, go.
All right, so General McChrystal has a plan to save America.
I'm going to immediately call BS on this. If he's saying only 1% of Americans serve their country, 1% at a time. It's like 8% total. Like,
you see that?
Do basic math, dude.
Okay, so before we get into this, General McChrystal,
one of my least favorite people.
He has a problem with the fact that not a lot of Americans are, quote-unquote, serving their country. He's got a problem with this, and he has a plan to fix it. His plan is to create an enormous government bureaucracy, and that will bring in 25% of the nation's youth after high school and put them to work doing random things that he thinks that they need to be doing.
Digging holes with spoons.
Now, to be absolutely clear, he's not calling for this program to be mandatory. He doesn't want to force people into it. At least that he's not saying he wants to do that. Though I don't think that he'd be too opposed to it. But you want to go back. He's basically arguing that once people graduate high school, he wants to create an environment of service. He argues that only 1% of Americans serve their country. America lacks in shared experience. There's almost no common background between the upper class and middle class, the educated, the uneducated, the rural, and the urban. This is ridiculous. The rural and the urban. So first off the bat, I want to say service to your country. There's nothing whatsoever that makes you as an individual obligated to quote unquote serve this country. The country exists for the purpose of serving you, for protecting your rights as an individual. That's why the country exists. You do not exist to serve the country. So if you choose not to do that, that's fine. I don't care how small that number is. Individuals have every right to choose their own path in life, to choose to serve the country or not. And if only 1% he says choose to do that, I'm fine with that. Who cares? You own your own life. The government doesn't own you, so why is this a problem? Now this is as bad as Bernie's plan to just give everybody a job if they want it. This is almost as bad at that.
Sorry, that someone was asking about having me on another podcast.
Oh, awesome. That's great.
I want to get to the point where I can send you onto these podcasts.
You can do that right now.
I mean, you've done enough sit-ins on like what we're doing that you probably could.
Yeah, probably could.
I might send you.
All right.
I need to get you like out. Let the people see your bright, shining face.
All right.
I'm so McChrystal's. I've never liked McChrystal. First off.
Now, why would you though? Has he ever given you a reason to like him?
You guy's such a douche, and he's always been a douche.
Scroll down a little bit for me.
Scroll down?
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Bam.
I mean, it's
expected by the community and implied that he'd prefer that employers, colleges, etc. Oh.
You see, he's basically what he wants to happen is that this service to your country.
Do you know what a white
expected.
feather was during?
I am glad you brought that up.
Is that on here? Did I?
No, I didn't. No, it wasn't on there.
Okay.
All right. So, what was a white feather?
So, a white feather was for cowardice in the British Empire if you did not go to war. And I think there was a specific time that this was going on, but I don't remember which war it was.
Okay, I think I knew a little bit more about it. Okay, so basically, the white feather program was during World War I. At the beginning of it, England had an all-volunteer military. They had one of the smallest militaries in Europe, but it was very professional. Mm-hmm. But they didn't have the numbers to actually do anything useful. I mean, when you're talking about the armies, they were fighting these multi-million man armies, and here's England with 200,000 troops total in their military. So
maybe they should have stayed out of it.
Now,
like everyone should have done in World War I.
That might have been good. But what the white feather was is they would get young, attractive women in England, and they would go around pinning white feathers on young men of military age. And this was a way to shame them into joining the military.
There's a movie called The Four Feathers, I think, that really deep dives on this. And it was a great movie. And it had Heath Ledger was in it. It was really good. Continue. Sorry.
Yeah, so this was basically a way to shame young men into joining the military. And it was really effective because these young, pretty women would berate people up and down the street, yelling insults at them. You're a coward. You're a traitor. Why don't you be a man and go fight in the trenches? And that was basically and that's essentially what this plan, maybe not quite so extreme as that McChrystal is putting forward, but he wants to make it so that employers are expecting it.
Like, it is the same thing because you're wanting to create a society where a young man has no prospects for marriage, jobs. I mean, if you have no prospects for jobs, you have no prospects for marriage. No woman wants to be with a loser.
Yep.
So if you can't work, then you're not going to find a mate. You're not going to have a family. It's you go in the military or you invent something. And even that's a toss-up.
Yeah, I mean,
This is disgusting. Like, if this was a drunk cast, I would be swearing up a storm right now. Calm down, Raptor.
see, all
Okay.
all the assumptions made in just thinking up this concept are backwards. Like I said before, the government doesn't own you. You owe it nothing. They already take enough as it is. Why do they also have to take a year of your life?
Here's my problem. Oh, I'm about to go dark.
Go for it.
At some point in the last year, some private through sergeant has died on the field of battle. Why couldn't it have been this asshole? We lost someone who was useful to society, and this guy's still running
Because
around
he's a
spouting off
general. Generals don't actually.
Oh my gosh.
Generals aren't on the front
If there
line.
is something that needs term limits, it is generals in the army.
It's the funniest thing about the military because we're technically in a time of war, but our generals are all still peacetime generals.
Yeah.
They're
Well,
all a
except
bunch
for-
of bureaucrats.
Except for, like, Mattis.
Well, Mattis is an exception.
Yeah.
But
he is the exception.
he is an exception. I mean, I'm thinking of like Don Bacon right now. He's the epitome of a bureaucrat general. I mean, that's what every Air Force general is. They're all bureaucrat generals.
Well, yeah,
There's no such thing as a fighting general in the Air Force.
Yeah.
They're all bureaucrats. They're all running a corporation.
The Air Force is the most corporation of the branches, so I mean, and I'm okay with that. That's your sister, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, Nicole. I mean, that's just the thing about it. Like I was saying, the assumptions are all backwards. You owe nothing to this government whatsoever. You are your own individual. And one of the things he was complaining about was that we're all going in 50 different directions. There's no common cohesion. I'm like, no. You
That
got.
sounds like some commie nonsense to me.
I mean, he doesn't go far enough. We're not pulling in 50 directions. We're pulling in 320 million directions. Because guess what? We're all individuals. And that's what you get in a free society. You have every single individual in that society pursuing their own interests, going after what they want to go after, choosing their own paths in life. That's a beautiful thing. That's what you get in a free society. You get people doing their own thing. General McChrystal apparently thinks that's a bad thing. He apparently thinks that we should all be going in one direction.
His direction.
Yeah, the direction that he wants to go in. So he now wants young people to spend a year in the
He
military.
just wants enough people so he can go invade Iran and Syria.
He says this is not for military service,
Right.
but once you get them in there, you can only dig ditches for so long.
I mean,
Here's the funny thing. You're already mandated to go to school until you're 18 or 16.
16 in some states.
You're already mandated to go to these government schools as it is.
Government indoctrination centers.
As if they do not have enough time already to instill their precepts into you at schools. Now they got to tack an extra year on top of that to make sure that you have the right mindset, that you think the way the government wants you to think. And you got to serve your government for a year after getting out of high school. Ridiculous.
Man, this guy.
You see
I
it?
hate this guy. I hate him.
I mean,
so much.
here's the thing about it. We both did time in the military. I would not want anybody to have to do that against their will.
Half of the people who were in there to be there. I'm certain. So here's the thing. Here's why the draft is bad. Any kind of draft. If you have someone, like, when you're in battle. So for me, that means when you are in the van and missiles are coming, and you need to, your 3-man crew and your, I might not be supposed to say that. Well, your crew of launcher dogs and your BCP crew and your EFG crew, all of these crews need to trust each other with everything. Because if the missiles hit, everyone dies. And not just those crews, but innocent people. I do not want someone on one of those crews that does not want to be there. I can't trust that person. And that trust has to exist. Now, magnify that by you're in a fire squad and there's 5 of you out in a building that's surrounded by the Taliban. I can't imagine that. Having someone in that situation that you don't trust with your life? No. No.
You see, and again, McChrystal's going to say that this is not for military purposes, but you know what? I think once you get them in this program, I think once you make it socially unacceptable to refuse the government's edicts, I think then it is going to be military in nature.
What does government ever conscript people for other than to fight wars? Historically, when has that ever happened?
Yeah, they want you to be a warm body that they can throw in front of bullets. And you know what? It's not like the United States has been the most peaceful nation during the last century.
Reminds me, there was a meme that I saw today that was like all the countries that Iran has bombed. And to be fair, the meme was wrong because it didn't have anything, but Iran has definitely had some hostile actions in the last 50 years. It has.
Iraq. There's the Iran-Iraq war.
Israel. They have fought Israel. They are currently fighting Israel through Syria. That is a thing. But then there's like this huge list of American wars that we've been in, and only a couple of them are like... When was the last time we fought a justified war?
Well, I mean, you can say Afghanistan was at the beginning of it.
Yeah, at the beginning, because they did attack us.
But the way that war was conducted, I mean, you should have just kill Obama. Kill
Don't
Osama.
project.
Kill Osama out.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you got to do. But no, they wanted to stay. We're still there after all these years. Can you imagine? Could you imagine when you were a kid and you were seeing us invade Afghanistan, that we would still be there after all these years?
It's like the meme that I saw going around is the kids that were born as, like that last wave of kids that were born as their dads went off to war for the first time are now old enough to go join them.
Yeah, I remember reading a duffel bag article. It was like, father who went to Afghanistan so his son wouldn't have to. Feels like an asshole now that his son ships off to Afghanistan.
Yeah. It's like
this is really a multi-generational war. There are kids in Afghanistan that don't remember the towers falling. That's a real thing.
That's
are fighting
right
now.
People in that region who were not born when we started that war.
Yeah, we've made Afghanistan's #1 export opium. Good job. Good job fighting the drug war, U.S. government. Now Afghanistan's #1 export is opium.
So I don't know a ton about opium. Is there any use for it other than drugs?
You make morphine out of it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a drug.
It's just a drug, pretty much.
Like, it's not like hemp or marijuana where you can use it for other things.
No, not really. It's pretty much just a drug.
That's wonderful. Great job, guys.
So good job, General McChrystal, for coming up with that great idea. So I think we got one more story we want to go over. You want to talk about this one a little bit?
No.
That name is going to be very difficult.
Antonio Nawari?
I'm going to say that's it. Antonio Nawari. All right. So I'm just going
right.
I'm going to read a little bit from this article from the Washington Post. All right.
First off, this person is a legend. Like, just being willing to do what she's doing and the effort that she put in to do this, what a great person.
All right, so this is from the Washington Post. Antonia Nawari spent years saving up thousands of dollars to open a medical clinic in Nigeria, where she was born. Finally, last October, she walked down a jet bridge at Houston's George Bush Intercontinental Airport to board a plane to get there. The 59-year-old registered nurse had more than $37,000 in her carry-on bag, $4,000 in her purse. It was all cash, stowed in separate envelopes, some earmarked to help ill or aging family members. In her checked luggage, she packed medical supplies and over-the-counter medication, which she planned to use to provide free basic care and checkups to anyone who needed it. But she wouldn't make it there. Just as she was about to board the flight to Nigeria, agents with the U.S. Customs and Border Protection stopped her. Now, what they did after they stopped her, they took her back to a back room. They confiscated her cash. They questioned her. And later, when they decided that she had done nothing wrong, they released her. But they didn't give her money back. And they still haven't. So what they basically did is they robbed this woman and everybody in Nigeria that was going to benefit from her goodwill. That's our government for you.
And they're using the money, like they basically tried to bribe her, saying, "We'll give you your money back if you promise not to sue us over it." So she's doing the correct thing and suing them.
Yep, she said, "Screw you guys, you can't do this to me. This is my money, I've done nothing wrong."
Here's the thing. This is what she is putting herself through. She could have easily, some would argue should have, just taken the money, gone to Nigeria, and done her thing. Instead, she's saying there is a battle to be fought here because this is wrong. And even though it will cost me personally, I'm going to fight this battle. Because if I don't, then the next person is not going to. The person after that isn't going to. Someone has to be the one to stand up. Good on you. You're a hero.
Absolutely. And she's not the only person that this has happened to. This has become a tactic that the government uses against people. Well, they'll use, not eminent domain, what am I thinking of? Civil asset forfeiture to steal people's money illegally. Without bringing charges against them. They'll just up and take your money. And then they'll use that to ransom you. Say, hey, we're gonna give you some of your money back. Let's say we'll give you 80% of back. But we'll keep the other 20%. And in exchange for that 80% back, you're going to have to sign an agreement not to sue us or take this to court.
So here's what I would do in that scenario. You sign it, take the money, and sue them. Because a contract made under duress is not a legally binding contract.
You see, but then you're running into problems of suing the government. Does that work out too well
No.
for too many people?
And the thing is, it can work out if you're dogged in your pursuit of justice. Unfortunately, it's at a huge personal cost. So when I'm going to plug someone, and it's not in America, Dankula, Count Dankula in England or Scotland, has a defense fund set up, and I think he already funded. But it is to help him fight that $800 fee that he got for the Nazi salute dog thing.
Yep.
Much easier for him to just say, 800 pounds, I can get that. I have a YouTube following now. Instead, he's fighting a battle that needs to be fought. And when someone is willing to fight that battle, we need to get behind them. Throw a couple bucks, like, if we all threw a couple bucks at, the next time someone has to take the government to court for violating their rights, then that person can stick it to them, and we have legal precedent then to hit them every time they violate our rights. That is what it's going to take. We have to put our money where our hearts are. And, just like when we talk about campaigns that we support, if you're not willing to give up the Starbucks for a day or the extra double cheeseburger, that's my thing, then don't talk about it, because I don't want to hear your words. We're past words. It is time for action. It is time to put your money where your mouth is.
You have your money, your time, whatever it is you can give. Because,
and some people are genuinely in a spot where they can't give money.
Yeah.
You can raise awareness. You can do things. Yeah.
I mean, there is plenty of things we could do. And this story just reveals the lie that we're all told. That government is there to help you. Government is there to serve you. Government is the protector of your liberty. Is the government protecting this woman's liberty? Is it protecting her? Is it protecting all the people that she could be helping right now in Nigeria? I mean, how many people?
I don't know how much you know about Nigeria. It is possibly bottom 10 countries that you want to be in right now.
How many people could she be helping right now? how many lives could be just a little bit better if she was allowed to get on that plane, to go to Nigeria, to open her clinic, to heal sick people. Instead, she is sitting here in the United States having to take the U.S. government to court to get her own money back, to have the right to sue the government for stealing from her. Now, this is the thing. If I stole this money from this woman in the same way, I'd be in jail right now. No question whatsoever. I would deserve it. Mm-hmm. But the government gets an exception. Apparently, the government is allowed to steal from us. Not just in taxation, but literally just taking your money. Just grabbing it. Oh, look, you have a bunch of cash. It must be from drugs. And they just take it.
I mean, technically, in this case, there were drugs involved, but...
Technically,
to be fair.
But, I mean, we're always talking about the drug war, aren't I? And this whole thing about, a lot of cash is suspicious. That's because of the drug war.
And here's what's funny. I guarantee none of these cartels are running around with that kind of cash anymore. It's all in crypto. I guarantee it.
Well, that's why the government's going to start trying to crack down on crypto.
Yeah, come and take it. Fight me.
They're going to try. They are going to try and do it. So I hope this woman all the success in the world.
We'll have to see. Maybe we can see if she's got a GoFundMe between now and next week. And if she does, we can talk about it next week.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah. So if anyone here is interested in hopefully there's a lawyer out there.
I would assume that this is the kind of thing that the ACLU is for. So, and this is the kind of cause they would typically jump on. So
yeah. So government, you shouldn't shoot your dogs. You shouldn't steal people's money.
Or conscript people.
Or conscript people to your stupid make-work programs.
So I do want to hit this last story.
Okay.
Because it really makes me
go for it, buddy. All right.
Dear Attorney General Ferguson, this is an open letter.
From Washington Labor to the Attorney General in Seattle.
Yeah. As you know, on May 2nd, a top Amazon... You know what? Screw this. So... They want to pass a 26-cent an hour tax on every business. That is 26 cents per hour per employee if you are a big business in Seattle. This is to fight homelessness. My ass. Amazon halted construction of their new building. They're saying, we're not paying that. That's stupid. Here's why they're not paying that. The company has 40,000 employees in Seattle. That is $80,000 a day, more than $80,000 a day, if this law gets passed, hitting Amazon. And they're building a new building. That means they're about to hire more. So it would probably be over 100,000 a day. That's what, 3.65 million a year? Get bent. What do you need that for? That would solve homelessness in the entire country. Shut up. That's just one company. Seattle has dozens of these big tech companies that would be paying the same thing. So, Amazon basically tells them to take a hike. They're not going to do it. Because of that, a couple numpties in Seattle are trying to appeal to the Attorney General to charge them with intimidating a public servant, threatening to leave because the tax burden is mind-blowingly retarded, is threatening a public servant. What is wrong with you?
The implications.
How many windows have you been licking?
I feel like these people must walk around with helmets everywhere they go because they're just bumping into things. Because they're too short-sighted to see where they're going. All right, let me lay this out to people. Companies leaving your city because your tax burden is too high is the natural result of your tax burden being too high. It's not threatening your public servants, okay? It's just what happens. When you raise taxes like that, When you make it impossible for companies to be solvent in your city, they'll leave. It is not a threat to your public servants to say, hey, if you pass this law, we're not going to be doing business in your city anymore. The implications of that mindset alone are astounding. I mean, apparently, according to this mindset, simply running against a public servant is a threat to them because you're threatening their government salary. I mean, we're going to take this logic to its natural conclusion. Let's go there. Anybody who chooses to run against a city councilman is threatening that city councilman and therefore should be charged with a felony. That's the implication we're going with.
So let's compare numbers. So let me do population difference between Seattle and Houston. Seattle and Houston. Here we go. I have a point here. Just bear with me for a sec. Geez. Okay. So Seattle has a population of roughly 700,000. Houston has a population of about 2.3 million. Why does that matter? Actually, I want to see if they have it here. They don't.
You compare the homeless populations?
Yeah. So the homeless population in Seattle is about 10,000. It's about 3 in Houston.
How could that be?
Maybe
Seattle is such a progressive city.
Maybe it's because Texas doesn't have retarded tax laws. And people have jobs.
They don't even have an income tax in Texas. Nebraska, can we get on board with that? No income tax? That would be great.
Cost of living, let's compare that. Seattle is 42% more expensive than Houston. Maybe your cost of living is too high. Seattle?
Yeah, this is the same city council that just passed a they passed a $15 minimum wage law. They have
how's that playing out? Maybe that's why you have homeless people, because they can't get jobs, because no one will hire them, because they don't have skills, and no one will pay $15 for someone without skills.
And not only that, you're chasing away big businesses. Amazon, you just read it out, 40,000 employees in Seattle. That's a huge number. If Amazon just walks up and leaves, says, we're not paying those taxes, that's insane, we don't want to do it. That's 40,000 people who no longer have jobs. They're either jobless or they get moved out of state. Either way, Seattle loses out completely on those people. This is simply bad policy. And instead of acknowledging this is bad policy, Washington Labor decides to sue them and say they're trying to intimidate people. This is straight up socialism. These people are not sane. They're not right in the head. They think they can simply charge people with felonies for doing what is completely natural for a business to do and up and leaving when your taxes get insane.
Look, here's all I'm saying. Amazon. Seattle is 56.2% more expensive than Omaha. Come to Omaha.
Yeah, come to Omaha. We'll take you in. Yeah. We
have a very competitive business tax plan, which could be better, but always relatively good.
Look, we got PayPal here.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting Facebook here. Mm-hmm. Come on, Amazon. Google's here. Come on, Amazon.
This is the what do they call it? Silicon Prairie? Is it Omaha?
You know what? I would love it if they came here and all of a sudden they started drone delivery.
40,000 of those jobs here? Oh, man.
Drone delivery, dude.
Drone
delivery. Like I order something on my phone, in 20 minutes, a drone comes buzzing in on my front porch and just drops it there. Wow. Come on,
That's Amazon. How drones are supposed to be used. U.S. government, take note.
Yeah, stop killing people in the Middle East with your drones and start delivering packages.
Health-related expenses are 2% less in Omaha. That actually surprises me because, look, let's be honest, there's a lot of people like me in Omaha who are fat.
So you would think that fat people in Nebraska.
You would think
so that corn. See, the corn gets in the air and you inhale it and you get fat.
Yeah. basically how it
It's
happens.
science. Deal with it.
Gosh, their housing is almost double.
All right.
Amazon, do your people a favor, bring them to Omaha.
All right. I think we've.
But keep your stupid left-wing politics in Seattle.
Yeah, leave the progressive workers in Seattle. Bring all the sane people here.
So that means about like maybe 1,000 of them.
I'll take that. I'll take 1,000 of them. Hey,
We'll
look,
fill the rest of those jobs.
there's 30,000 people in Nebraska that would want an Amazon job. So I think we've hit pretty much everything we want to talk about today.
Yep.
Is there anything else you wanted to cover before we say goodbye?
No, I've yelled a lot. That's gonna make editing this a big pain in the ass.
That is fine by me, dude. I want more topics that get you riled up.
Oh, jeez. Am I gonna be the yelly guy for this podcast now?
No, dude, that's my job. You're just the yellow guy for this specific episode. Okay. I'm the yellow guy. Anyway, don't forget the Roads to Freedom Foundation's Omaha Unconvention coming up in a couple of weeks. Promo code ROADS. Remember, promo code ROADS gets you what, 20% discount? Mm-hmm. Ron Paul's going to be there. Larry Sharp's going to be there. Austin Peterson's going to be there.
There's
Eric
a group
July.
on there. There's a group. If you go to the page, there's a group that you can join that has like ride shares and room shares. Because, rooms, even if you got the discount, which I think they're all expired now, was like $100 a night. And that hurts. But if you can split an Airbnb with someone and pay like $40 or $50 a night, that's not so bad. So, you shut up, Mike. I'm just kidding. I love you. I'll leave Nathan for you, baby.
Don't be weird about it.
Take us home.
All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. For myself, Nathan Parada, Zach Taylor, this has been the Guardians of Liberty podcast. You have a good night.